Do you guys see life as a test? Well, we're going to be reacting to another Better Life video. This one is titled 3 Important Spiritual Tests That You Need to Pass. So, we won't keep you waiting. Let's get into it.
One, the test of letting go. The moment your eyelids flutter open, greeting the dawn of a new day, you're not just stepping into the mundane routine of life. You're entering a sacred space. You're embarking on a quest of the soul, a journey that demands not just your time but your essence. You are more than flesh and bones. You're a spiritual traveler on a sacred path. That's the real magic, the real quest. Yet, as you walk this spiritual path, you'll come face to face with trials that challenge not just your beliefs but your core. One of the first and most essential tests is that of letting go of your attachments. The concept is straightforward but emotionally demanding. You see, we all have anchors, people, items, ideas that we cling to, that we think define us. These are things we love, things we think we can't do without. But the question is, can you let go? Imagine your life as a tree. As you grow, you accumulate leaves. These are your attachments. They provide shade and beauty, yet they're not the core of your tree. The universe, ever watchful, wants to see how you manage these leaves. Do they obstruct your view of the sky? Are they preventing new growth? In a gentle but firm way, the universe may shake your tree, forcing some leaves to fall. This isn't to hurt you, but to offer you clarity, to make room for new leaves, for new experiences. When you start to believe that you can't live without a particular leaf, you're sending a signal to the universe. It's as if you're saying, "This is it. I'm complete with this." The universe listens and might just say, "Are you sure?" You'll then go through the experience of losing that leaf, that attachment. It's not a punishment, it's a lesson. It's the universe asking you, did the tree die when the leaf fell? Or did it make room for a new leaf, for fresh growth? Various spiritual philosophies, from Buddhism's teachings on detachment to the Stoic practice of emotional strength, all touch upon this wisdom. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving or desiring. It means you recognize that your ultimate purpose is not tied to a temporary state of being. Your ultimate quest is for wisdom, for peace, for a oneness with the universe that transcends any single attachment. So where does your heart lie? Are you so consumed by the love of a single leaf that you forget you are an ever-growing tree in a vast forest? This test asks you to evaluate your priorities. Are you defined by the things you cling to, or by your ability to grow and adapt, to be in tune with your higher self? The universe is waiting to entrust you with greater knowledge, a higher form of love, and deeper levels of awareness. But first, it wants to see if you're ready to shake off the old leaves, to make room for new experiences, to be a tree that is part of a grander forest. You're not just a tree lost among countless others. You are the forest itself, alive and ever-changing. So when you successfully navigate through the test of letting go, you come to realize that you're more resilient, more in tune, and indeed more complete than you thought. You are not your attachments. You are not your losses. You are the journey you undertake, a quest that is both sacred and enriching. Remember, you're not defined by what you hold on to, but by your capacity to let go and grow anew. When you do that, you become a beacon, a testament to the endless potential of the human spirit. You become a part of something larger than yourself, something truly divine. And that is your real journey, a journey free of obstacles, a path full of potential. You become the universe in motion, a sacred story forever unfolding. 2. The test of patience. In a world...
Before we get into 2, maybe we should touch on 1 there. Attachments, kind of a little bit of a theme this week, going through attachments and learning how to let things go on like a surface level material stuff, yeah, but then what about like the most precious things in your life, like your loved ones and your family, and like letting go of that can be brutal and painful for all the people, you know, if you're at a certain age, you've probably gone through that.
The term lovesick comes to mind. You can be, if a relationship ends and it's so painful, it can have like a physiological effect. Your body can hurt from heartbreak. Yeah, that's a real point, man. And I mean, I don't want to invite that into my life, and I don't want to invite that to anybody else's life. This like test of, you really ready to take this path, and then you face some, you know, you're right. It's one thing to lose a bunch of surface stuff. It's another thing to lose people.
Yeah.
Is essentially what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, we're at an age where we've been around long enough that we've lost some people, but you know, there's also some people around where we don't want to.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to remember that nothing is permanent. That
Yeah.
everybody will pass. And so if anything, maybe it's like, without doing it in a paranoid sense, it's a reason to sort of cherish the people around you. I don't think that means you have to do anything.
Yeah.
I think you can just kind of have an appreciation. This is all temporary. I'm temporary.
And I think spiritual practices have something to do with helping us cope with our attachments. Because I think one of the reasons why when people face certain loss, it's because they haven't really done any prep work for it, and so it's harder hitting for them when it happens maybe suddenly or something like that. But then I've also heard of people who've had like intense, like spontaneous loss or something, and it like enlightened them. Right. It did something.
It's funny because, like, you know, how many happily married relationships are like, oh, we're going to die on the exact same day. Yeah. You know, we'll exhale our last breath together and die together. There's something sort of sweet, romantic even, you know, about that idea. And then you hear about people as they get elderly and one person passes, and then shortly afterwards the other one passes. They're like, nope, not worth it. You know, and, you know, it's like, this is a different story if you're in an unhappy relationship and you're like, whew, thank goodness that's over. But if you're in a happy relationship, of course, it's harder. But I think that you do what you can. You look at the person you're on your life journey with and you go, you know, you kind of acknowledge to some level, this is not forever, but we're in this. We've made some commitments, so let's do it. But you prepare yourself for one day everything being over. If you've got kids, you're essentially giving birth to people that you know will one day face struggles and pass, quite likely. Yeah. But I think a wise way culturally going forward might be to go into situations knowing that, you know, with a little more awareness, you know, just a little more like
counting the cost
of it, you know, before you do it. But it's tricky because I feel like sometimes society can take a weird turn and it's like, oh, nobody's having kids because they don't want to face all the struggles that come with kids, or nobody's even bothering with commitment anymore because it's too painful. It's like, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't demonstrate commitment. Yeah. You should. But this test, you know, hopefully God just doesn't give you more than you can handle. And the things that you do get taken away only lead you to a point where you go, thank God for the test. You know, I didn't realize how much holding on was hurting me and how much I needed to let go to actually appreciate everything, even in retrospect. Yeah.
It's almost like you have to face it no matter what happens, you're going to have to face it. It's like, so you can't escape it.
When it's like your time to go, on your worst day, you're like, get me out of this bitch. But when the time comes, I bet you most people get graduation eyes and they're like, as we go now, oh, I'm going to miss this place where I had to toil for decades at a job and I had to, like, you know, do the same stuff over and over again. You know, when that time comes, you probably have a hard time letting go.
12 that glorifies instant gratification, where the next dopamine hit is just a swipe or a click away, we'd find the concept of waiting increasingly challenging. We have been conditioned to believe that time is of the essence, that if something doesn't happen now, it never will. Yet, the wisdom of spiritual journeying takes us in a completely different direction. It whispers in our ear that one of the most profound tests we encounter in life is the test of patience, especially when we have to wait longer that we think we should. You see, patience isn't merely about the act of waiting. It's about how you conduct yourself while you wait. It's about maintaining a sense of calm, a semblance of peace, while the world around you seems to be rushing ahead. Nelson Mandela once said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." In the same way, patience is not the absence of desire or need, but the triumph over the hurried angst they often produce. So, why does the universe make us wait? Why do we face these moments where time seems to stretch infinitely before us, like an endless tunnel with no light in sight? The answer is not simple, but it's profoundly enlightening. These periods of waiting are not voids. They're fertile grounds for growth, nurturing our soul and spirit. Consider the farmer who plants a seed and waits for it to sprout and grow. If he becomes impatient, digging it up to check on it, he disrupts the natural process. Similarly, each delay in our life is a gestation period, a time for something within us to sprout and grow. We are learning the art of resilience, fortitude, and most importantly, faith. The universe isn't asking if you can wait. It's asking if you can do so with grace, with understanding, with a heart full of hope, rather than a mindset of despair. Instead of seeing waiting as an affliction, view it as a space of preparation. Imagine you're an artist, and each moment you wait adds another stroke of paint to your ever-evolving masterpiece. The universe is not holding out on you. It's building you up for something that will match your readiness, your worthiness. Maya Angelou wisely stated, "All great achievements require time." Your goals, your dreams, your spiritual awakening, they're all great achievements in the making. So, how do we make this process of waiting more endurable, less agonizing? We must learn to find contentment in the present moment. Zen masters speak about the beauty of the present moment, urging us to find peace and happiness in the now. When we are at peace with the present, the uncertainty of the future loses its daunting power. Instead of feeling like you're wasting time, you recognize you're gathering insights, building spiritual muscle, and enriching your soul. As you stand on this side of a closed door, wondering when it will finally open, consider this. Every minute you wait in a state of patience is another layer of wisdom, another notch in your belt of resilience. When the door finally swings open and you cross the threshold, you'll realize that the depth of your joy is precisely because you had to wait for it. It's a joy enriched by the process, deepened by the patience, and heightened by the anticipation. In a way, your life is not just the events that unfold, but also the intervals in between. So when you find yourself in one of these intervals, waiting for the next chapter to begin, remind yourself, this is not a pause, it's preparation. Each moment you wait is not lost, it's invested. You are not being held back. You're being set up for something so rewarding that when it finally arrives, you'll understand why every second of waiting was worth it. So, in the quiet moments, when you find yourself yearning for progress, remember that the real progress is happening within you. Waiting is not the absence of action. It's a form of action, a silent and invisible development of your inner self. You're not just waiting, you're growing, learning, and becoming the person who will be ready when the right moment arrives. And when it does, you'll realize you weren't just waiting. You are on a journey that has made you who you are, a journey that has made every moment worth the wait. 3. The test of faith.
All right, waiting. It's again another one of those tests that you're gonna do it no matter what. And I like how the video said, are you gonna do it gracefully though? But like, how many times in your life have you ever been like sit in this one spot and you can't move forever? Like usually between waiting, there are other things that are going on. It's like a very intricate process of you always kind of like doing something while waiting at the same time. I don't know. There's not very much just like you're on pause. There's almost, even if you're meditating, you're still not on pause. There's a lot of people this day and age that think if something doesn't hurt, it's not effective or not working right or you're not doing it. So they go to the gym and they'll be on the thing and they'll be violently going back and forth, you know. There's something to be said about long suffering, the capacity to suffer for a long amount of time, like with grace. But I feel like there's an opportunity right now for a misunderstanding about this. Like you know the term white knuckling it?
Yeah.
Well, I white knuckled it through that. When you sit down to meditate, are you white knuckling it? You know, and I think one of the big fruits that arrive from doing that is when you drop that white knuckling aspect and you go, oh my God. One too many waiting periods of agony led me to just go, I don't suffer through agony while I'm waiting anymore. I'm not willing to do that. You know, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's a thing that gets said every now and then. Is the juice worth the squeeze? So many juices ain't worth the squeeze in this world.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, you're not very manipulatable if you think that. How the heck is society and you know, how are they supposed to manipulate you unless you think the juice got to be worth the squeeze and that pain's part of it? That's good. That's a good sign that it hurts. I don't know about that, you know, not for like an enlightened, intelligent, sophisticated being. I think that you can get past that and that, you know, I'm not saying there's no use to it. There's no use to like the suffering that goes along with waiting for something. But one of the things that might dawn on you is like, thank goodness I don't have to suffer while I'm waiting anymore.
Well, maybe part of it is that we don't have a choice in that whether we like it or not anyway. If you're of the ilk of I need to go through the suffering thing, you might actually, your chemistry might be set up to make you be that way. So that like when you go through it, you know, that might lead you to the dawning realization that I didn't need to do all that.
Yeah.
Right? And then for others, maybe they did. Maybe some people get a kick out of, you know, climbing Mount Everest. There's no greater high than getting to the top of the mountain, and it was hell and the most horrifying thing that I ever did. But for them, it might have been worth it. While for others,
I think
it might not be.
I think there's higher order and lower order. I think, you know, there's masochists. There's people that like pain. And I don't want to call anybody out or anything, you know? Like the world's full of all sorts of things. All this variety makes it spicy and interesting.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't want to live that way and you want to get to nirvana, you want to like achieve nirvana or bliss or whatever, I think that you can, then that one thing you may get to is the point where like, you know, it dawns on you that, you know, the way you've been meditating, you're like, man, every time I meditate, I'm distracted as hell. I either can't help myself from falling asleep or I can't help myself from being cramped and in pain and all this stuff. I think that you can, when you get the green light and you know one day that it doesn't have to be that way, that's okay too. You know, you don't have to hang on to your relationship with pain.
Yeah.
After a certain point, there's so many reasons to be in pain. You know, like I often, you ever see like people that are masters and their legs are always crossed, and you're like, I hate sitting with crisscross applesauce. I hate it. And then I was like, well, I like to be a novel person, so maybe I'll be the person that never crosses his damn legs. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot easier than that and looks just as holy. Putting your hand up, like doing all these things that the Hindu gods are always doing. Just do this if you want to appear holy. But there's people that you know have dedicated their life to pretzeling themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I guess you could get used to it.
Yeah.
But why? Especially if it's something especially if it's a pretension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's not natural, if it's not graceful.
Yeah.
Why do it?
Well,
you're enlightened, bold. You know, I meditated for years to realize I hate meditation. You are enlightened.
Life's journey takes us through sunny meadows, but also leads us into raging storms. It's easy to feel grateful and full of faith when skies are clear. But what happens when the clouds roll in? The winds pick up, and everything around you starts to crumble. It's at these exact moments that the test of faith kicks in, not as a cruel examination, but as a crucial growth spurt for your soul. Imagine your life as a ship sailing on the ocean. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor, as the old saying goes. Imagine hitting rough seas where your boat gets tossed around, water splashes onto the deck, and you feel lost in an endless expanse of water. It would be easy to abandon the ship, to assume it's sinking, and you should jump off. But faith is the compass that urges you to hold steady, to trust that your vessel is built to to withstand the storm. It's your conviction that the turbulence is not a signal of impending doom, but a passage to smoother waters. Think about the potter at the wheel, shaping clay into a beautiful vase. The clay gets pressed, squeezed, and spun. If the clay had feelings, it would feel dizzy, disoriented, and probably want to jump off the wheel. Yet, it's that process that transforms a lump of earth into an art piece. Your trials and tribulations are much like that wheel. They mold you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. The process is unsettling but necessary. Let's not forget the metaphor of the diamond. A diamond starts as a lump of coal under the earth. It's the intense heat and tremendous pressure that forge it into one of the most precious stones in the world. In the depths of your struggles, when you feel you're being subjected to life's harshest conditions, remember that this could be your transition from coal to diamond. You're not being crushed, you're being transformed. The universe isn't trying to break you, it's pushing you to discover how unbreakable you actually are. Let's also consider the metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly. The caterpillar wraps itself in a cocoon, where it practically dissolves into goo before reorganizing into a butterfly. Imagine that moment of being goo, a time of uncertainty and darkness. Yet, it's this uncomfortable stage that leads to wings and flight. Likewise, when you find yourself in life's cocoon during your darkest hours, you're not falling apart. You're getting ready to fly. The concept of faith is not limited to any religious view. Whether you believe in God, the universe, or any higher power, the message is the same. Enduring faith is built not when the sun is shining, but when you have to navigate through the darkest nights. It's your belief that daylight is just beyond the horizon, even if you can't see it yet. The challenges that test your faith are not punishments. They are initiations into a higher order of being. When you come out on the other side, you won't be the same person who went in, and that's the point. You'll emerge stronger, wiser, and with a deeper connection to the essence of who you are and what you believe in. So when your world is tumbling down, when it seems like the universe is against you, don't let go of your faith. Hold on to it as if it's the lifeline thrown to you in turbulent seas, because it is. You're not just enduring hardships. You're accumulating the tools and resilience needed for the rest of your journey. It's not about just weathering the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. Hold on to your faith. Let it be your umbrella. And remember, the storm isn't here to stay, but the lessons you learn and the strength you gain will last a lifetime. Trust the process, even if it's hard. Especially if it's hard. Because the version of you that emerges on the other side will thank you for it. You're not merely surviving, you're evolving, becoming a beacon that will shine even brighter in the darkness. Thanks for watching.
I just wanted to say that, yeah, there's definitely something to be said about endurance and the lessons that you learned, you know, like withstanding the tests and coming out victorious and being tried by fire and being purified. I don't want to dismiss that. There's a time to be disciplined.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I'm imagining somebody that's like got a bunch of prayer beads and they're like ram, 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 you know, and they're somebody that's in the yoga studio, you know, 7 days a week and just like squeezing themselves till something pops.
Yeah.
You know, and then you think about like the gracefulness of a cat that just has no pretension, just sits in whatever shape it's comfortable with.
Yeah.
And, you know, doesn't even allow itself to like force itself. It's either calm or it's here's something. There's a grace to animals without all the pretension that comes along with being a human.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is kind of like our human experience. And I'm kind of like with you. Like, I hope it's evolving into something like I want better and better. I don't want it to be like a never-ending infinite sea of like, you got to go through a bunch of troubles, learn a bunch of lessons, and then like constantly be doing that. But then maybe we do want that, at least as a human.
If it's exciting, it could be the adventure of a lifetime. You know what I mean? If you're Bilbo Baggins and they're like, look, we got to take this ring to Mordor and cook it. Or however the story goes. You know, and you know you're going to fight some trolls and you know it's going to be rough. Some people are up for that. Some of us from a young age were like, you know, what are you doing? You know, like making tea and meditating. It's like, you're too young for that. If you're ready for peace, I think it's not... You shouldn't feel guilty about acquiring it, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, well, no, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? If somebody comes along and says you didn't meditate long enough, and you didn't even ask them, they're just telling you that. Then it's like, well, back off.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. You're free to have your opinion.
Sure.
But like, I'm doing it my way.
Yeah. I hear you. All right, guys. That was a long one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone, until next time, stay spiritual.